In this video, I want to show you how to crochet these cute cherry tomatoes with the leafy part on top and the stem that connects everything. And these are perfect for kids' kitchen or when they have a grocery store. It's fairly easy to make, and let's jump right into it. For this project, I will use a red and a green yarn for 2.5 to 3.5 needles, a crochet hook 3 millimeters, a basting needle, stitch marker, scissors of course, and some fiber fill. To do this project we will need 7 cherry tomatoes, and we will start with a magic ring. The magic ring, put your yarn around your thumb like this, go in with the crochet hook, get the yarn and twist it when you get out. Get the yarn and pull it through the loop. That's it, that's our magic ring. And into this magic ring I will do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, and as you can see, my single crochet is a yarn under, meaning my hook is over the yarn is under the hook. And this will give you a sturdier single crochet, especially for amigurumi and things like these vegetables. 6. We now close our magic ring, and then we will take our stitch marker and mark the last stitch we did. And now we get to the second round, but we will work in continuous rounds, meaning now we do a round of increases. I go through the first single crochet I made and I put 2 single crochets into that stitch to get from 6 to 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, dropped it, 4, 5, 6, always 2 single crochets in each stitch, 7, 8, 9, 10, and in the last one, 11 and 12. Mark the last stitch again. Now we do one round of 1 single crochet and an increase to get from 12 to 18 stitches. So 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, and then we get to the last single crochet and into the last stitch we do an increase, 1 and 2. Mark the last stitch again. And in our next round, which is the last round of increases, we will go from 18 to 24 stitches, doing 2 single crochets and an increase. So it's 1 single crochet in this stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and an increase, 1 and 2. All the way around. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, whoops, 1 single crochet, and an increase, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, increase, single crochet, single crochet, increase, and now we get to the last 2 single crochets, 1 and 1, and in the last stitch we will do the last increase. So it's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. All right, put the stitch marker back in the last stitch, and now we have to do 24 stitches, or 3 rounds of 24 single crochets. There is no increase and no decrease. And if you want to make sure that you do not go above 3 or you do enough rounds, I usually have a piece of paper right next to my work, and I just take a pencil and I just make like 3 marks. Every time I finish a round I make a mark, so I'm sure I did 3. So let's just do 24 stitches. Oops, 24 stitches. And we will meet back after the 3 rounds. I finished my 3 rows of 24 stitches, put in the stitch marker in the last stitch again, and now we do our first row of decreases. We're about to close our tomato. And to do this, if you remember, the last row of increases we did was 2 single crochets and an increase. And we will do the same backwards now to close it. So it's 2 single crochets and a decrease. Let's start. So this is 1 single crochet, another single crochet, and I will do an invisible decrease, meaning in the next stitch I go through the front loop only, the next stitch front loop only, get the yarn, pull it through these 2 loops, get the yarn, pull it through the rest, and we will continue until we get to the end of the round. Single crochet, single crochet, front loop only, get the yarn and get the yarn through the rest. Then we have 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and we decrease the next 2 stitches. So it's front loop, and get them together. Okay, so we now are back at 18 stitches, and to continue we will do the same as we did with the increase. Now we only do 1 single crochet and a decrease. Let's put the stitch marker back in for the last stitch right here, and let's do, and first I have to find the next stitch Here it is. It looks a little tricky because this is pulling on these 2 loops, but it's this one. 1 single crochet and a decrease, the same way we did before, through 2 front loops, get the yarn, and get the yarn again through both of the last loops. Single crochet, front loop, get the yarn, pull through, get the yarn, pull through. Last single crochet, and we will connect the last 2 stitches with a decrease. Let's remove this stitch marker. Front loop, get the front loop and front loop. I lost the yarn. Get the yarn through 2 loops, get the yarn through the last 2 loops. Let's put the stitch marker back in. And now we are at 12 stitches, and now it's time to stuff our tomato. I have some fiber fill right here, and I would just stuff it. What I try to do is not to overstuff it, because it will get really tense up here, and then you can, even with the hidden decrease, you can still see through it. If you want to avoid that, you could use a smaller crochet hook to make the stitches smaller or closer together, but I wanted to use a number 3, and that's why I'm not going to overstuff them, but make them firm, you know, not super soft. But I will slowly put more in and see what the perfect amount is. This could still use a little. Okay, I think that's good, because now we're at our last row of decreases. We will close the tomato any second now. And what we will do now is go from 12 stitches to 6 stitches. Decreases all around. So this is our first single crochet right here, or first stitch. We will do front loops only, get the yarn, and get the yarn again. Front loops only. Come on. Three, third decrease, fourth, here's number 5, and the last 2, this one and the one with the stitch marker. Remove it, go through here, go through here, and we have 6. So this is our tomato closed for now we can cut the yarn, pull through, fasten off. Take a basting needle, and if you look closely, you can see the 6 stitches you did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th one. What I do is I go through the first one, but front loop only. Through the 3rd one, front loop only. And through the 5th one, front loop only. I pull it tight, and now it's like shaped like this, but don't worry. We just go through the middle. And we don't need that yarn here to connect anything, so we just weave it in. So we go through here, and now we pull it back down. See, now it's round again. And then we do another one, just to weave it in so it doesn't come out again. And just like that, I can cut the yarn, and I have a tomato. I will need 7 of these, and the next thing we need to do is the leaf on top of the tomato. Let's do that next. For the little leaf on top of the tomato, we will do another magic ring. Put in the hook, get the yarn, twist it, and get the yarn again. And into this magic ring, we will now work 5 single crochets, not 6 as we did with the tomato. We will only do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And these 5 we will close with a slip stitch. Pull the yarn here to close the ring. Then through the first single crochet, we will do a slip stitch. Get the yarn, pull it right through that loop. Now we will do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3. On the back side of the chain, you see those little loops. Let me show you with the basting needle to make it more obvious. So this is our chain, and when you flip it, you see these little loops right here. Here's a loop, here's a loop. And we will skip the first chain we did, and we will go through this loop and this loop. In the first loop, we will do a single crochet. Got the first loop on my hook. I will do a single crochet. And in the second loop, I will do a half double crochet. Yarn around the hook, go through that loop in the back of the chain, get the yarn, and pull the yarn that we get on the hook through all 3 loops at once. Okay? So this is the stitch we just did our chain in. We go to the next stitch and we do another slip stitch. We go through the loop right away. And once again, we do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. On the back side, we go through these 2 loops. The first one we do a single crochet, single crochet, and the second one we do a half double crochet. When we get the yarn, we go through all 3 loops at once. We just did it in this chain, so we go into the next one and do a slip stitch. So now we got 2 petals, and we will do this for a total of 5. 3 chains, a single crochet in the second loop from the hook, get the yarn and do a half double crochet around the 3rd loop from the hook through all 3 loops at once. Into the next stitch, do a slip stitch, chain 3, in the back, do a single crochet, cut the yarn, and a half double crochet, a slip stitch, and we get to the last paddle, chain 3, go through the second loop of the hook, do a single crochet, cut the yarn, go through the third loop of the hook and do a half double crochet. And now we have 1 stitch left right here. We'll go through and do a slip stitch. And that's it. Our little petal, or the little green part of the tomato, is done. So this will go on top and we will connect the stem on this. All right, we need 7 of these. When you fasten off, leave a longer yarn tail because we will use this yarn tail to connect it to the tomato later on. So make sure you have a longer yarn tail, fasten off, and this one needs to be weaved in, and this one we will need for attaching to the tomato. To connect all the tomatoes together, we will need 6 of these tiny stems, and the 7th tomato will be connected to the long stem that connects all the tiny stems. So let me show you how to do this stem, because it's kind of a 3D stem that is more or less round, you know. That's why I chose it for this project. You could do a chain and then single crochets back, but this has more feel to it, so I went with this one. To do this, you will need a longer piece of yarn, and then you will do a slip knot. Oh, sorry. A slip knot going in down here, get the yarn and pull it through this loop around the thumb. And now we will take the long yarn we left, this is the end. We will take this and put it from the front around the back of the hook. And then we get this yarn and we pull it through both loops. We do that again from the front to the back, and then we pull through both loops. We will do this 8 times for the small stems. So this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, and the number 8. And then we cut the yarn, we leave a longer yarn tail to connect it to these pieces later on. So I will just cut it and fasten off. And this is our stem. Now we will do the long stem. In this case, I left a long yarn tail of 60 centimeters because I want to make sure that it's long enough. I don't want to redo because I was, you know, I did not leave enough yarn. Okay, so I will take this. I will wrap it around my thumb like this, and I will do a slip knot. And before we start, we need to get all our pieces ready, because now we will attach the 6 short stems to the long stem. I have them all here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here is number 6. Okay, and we will work from the back to the front. So this is going to be the end of the tomato stem. We will work towards the piece where we will attach the 7th tomato. And if you can remember, you just take this piece, put it from the front to the back over your hook, get the yarn and pull it through. We will do this 8 times and then we will connect the first stem. Whoops. So this is 2. Gets easier the longer it is. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, this is our piece at the end. Now we take our first short stem. So when you attach the short stem, make sure you go through, let me focus this, 2 loops to attach it, because if you only go through 1 loop, it kind of stretches and it leaves a hole. But if you go through 2 loops, it's really secure. So this is the end where there is no yarn tail. Take this, put it on your hook, and when you continue to crochet, make sure this one is going to the left. So we have our end of the yarn here. We wrap it around our hook and we try to pull it through all the loops we now have on our hook. All right, first one connected. So we make 1 stitch like this, and then we connect the other one, and this one's facing that way. So I take another piece. I make sure I go through 2 holes. Or 2 loops, sorry. 2 loops. And this time I make sure that it's facing that way. So we have one this way, that way, and so on. So let's wrap around the yarn. Get the yarn on the hook. Get through the first one, and now it's a little tricky because it's facing the other way. But just try to get through all the loops and adjust. Make sure it's going that way. And then we will do 8 stitches until we connect the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And let me show you what we did so far. So these are the 2 stems, the short ones, where we will put the tomato on. And we will do the same again here. We take 1 short stem, go through 2 loops, place it here, take my yarn end, wrap it around the hook, get the yarn and pull it through all loops I have on my hook now. So that one's also going to the left. Then I do 1 stitch like this, and then I take the next short stem, go through 2 loops. I have 2 loops on my hook. Make sure it's facing to the, or going to the right. Take the yarn, wrap it around the hook, go through the first one, and then try to get through the rest. It's a little fiddly. And then make sure it goes to the right. And then I do my 8 stitches like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we get to the last 2 stems. Take 1, whoops, through 2 loops, and I put it over the yarn I'm working with, going to the left, wrap the yarn around my hook, get the yarn and pull it through all the loops I have on my hook now, do 1 stitch without anything, and we get to the last stem. through 2 loops. See, 2 loops on my hook. It's a little difficult to see, but it's 2 loops. Face going right. Oh, yeah, there's my yarn around the hook and through all the loops, making sure it goes to the right. Then I just go like this and I do 8 stitches, and this is going to be the stem for the 7th tomato. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is it. See, this is the yarn tail, so I left plenty. And I will cut the other yarn now. And now we have a beautiful stem, or all the stems connected. And we're ready to assemble. So each stem now has 2 yarn tails, and I will show you how to connect them to this leaf part that goes on top of the tomato. I start with the first one. I just take one of the 2 tails, put it on my basting needle. And if you look closely to what we did here, this round shape is where the magic ring is. And I will go to the left and to the right of this and put through both tails and tie a knot at the bottom, because we can hide that knot when we attach the tomato. So that was the first tail. And this is the second one. I went through here, so I will try to go across on the other side. And now I can pull this stem towards the leaves, make sure it's centered like this, and then I will tie a knot. Go 3 times just to make sure. And then I will just quickly weave in these 2 ends into this leaf part, just to hide them. Whoops. Cut it off. Do the same with the other one. If I can get through there. Cut it off. Oops. And that's it. That's how we connect the leaves to our stems. And I will do this for all of the stems, and then we will be back to attach the tomato. Our leaves are connected now. And I already sewed 1 tomato and I forgot to record. I didn't hit the button. So we will do that again. I take the next leaf, get my tomato, put the yarn tail on my basting needle, and we make sure that we take, or we use, I would say, the uglier part of the tomato. It's the top where we closed it, because the bottom looks really, really nice and the top is just not as nice. So I take this part, and this is where I attach the leaf. And I take the yarn, this is where I fastened it off, and I start this way. And I try to stay around the stem. I want the leaves, I can show you here. I want the leaves to move because that's realistic. That's how a real tomato is. I don't want to attach the leaves. I want to attach the stem. So I go around here. I go in here. Make sure I lift some of the tomato so I actually attach it. And I come back out. Somewhere over here, if I can get through. Yeah, there we are. Somewhere over here. And I will do this a couple of times, going around, always going through the tomato as well to actually attach the two pieces. And just go around like this, in, out, and in and out. And then we go around a little bit more, even though I know I went around once, but I just want to make sure it's really attached nicely. And the tomato is secure and it looks really good. So now I will just weave in the end. Go through a couple of times. And then I can cut the yarn. And we're done. This is how you attach the tomato to the stem. And I will do this for the rest of the stem and we will be back when I'm finished. I finished connecting all the tomatoes to my stems or to my leaf parts and we're done with this project. I hope you liked the tutorial and thanks for watching.